If you're over 60 and wake up every morning with your blood sugar readings higher than when you went to bed, what I'm about to share with you could change everything. My name is Dr. Sarah Mitchell, and I've spent the last 15 years helping seniors manage their diabetes naturally and safely. Today you're going to discover 7 simple drinks that can help your body wake up more stable, without miraculous promises, with complete safety and backed by real science. But here's what makes this different from everything else you've heard. These aren't expensive powders, detox juices, or miracle cures. This is basic science done right, specifically adapted for your age group. Every single recommendation I'm going to share has been carefully researched for people over 60, including warnings about medication interactions and when not to use these drinks. Before we dive in, let me be crystal clear about something. This content is purely educational and does not replace your doctor or endocrinologist. If you're using insulin, sulfonylureas, have kidney disease, acid reflux, or gastroparesis, you must adjust any of these recommendations with professional guidance. Your safety is my absolute priority. Now let me ask you something. Does this sound familiar? You check your blood sugar before bed, it's reasonable, maybe 140, 150. You wake up 8 hours later and somehow it's jumped to 180, 200, or even higher. You haven't eaten anything. You've been asleep. So what's happening to your blood sugar while you sleep? This phenomenon is incredibly common in people over 60, and there are several reasons why it happens. First, there's something called the dawn phenomenon or morning effect. Your body naturally releases hormones like cortisol and growth hormone in the early morning hours to help you wake up. These hormones tell your liver to release stored glucose, preparing your body for the day ahead. When you're over 60, your pancreas often can't keep up with this extra demand, causing those morning spikes. Second, nighttime dehydration plays a huge role. As we age, our kidneys become less efficient at concentrating urine, and we often don't drink enough fluids throughout the day. When you're dehydrated, your blood becomes more concentrated, making your blood sugar readings artificially higher. Third, disrupted sleep patterns affect blood sugar control. If you're waking up multiple times during the night, tossing and turning, or dealing with sleep apnea, your stress hormones stay elevated, keeping your blood sugar higher than it should be. Fourth, late dinners or bedtime snacks can cause delayed glucose spikes. Your metabolism slows down as you age, so that meal you had at 8 p.m. might still be affecting your blood sugar at 6 a.m. Fifth, medications can influence morning readings. Corticosteroids, some blood pressure medications, and even certain antidepressants can cause blood sugar fluctuations during sleep. Finally, decreased insulin sensitivity is a natural part of aging. Your cells simply don't respond to insulin as effectively as they once did, meaning glucose has a harder time getting into your cells and out of your bloodstream. This is where the right drinks come in. They're not magic bullets, but they serve 4 crucial functions. First, they help maintain proper hydration throughout the night. Second, they can slow down glucose absorption from your evening meal. Third, they support better sleep quality, which directly impacts blood sugar control. And fourth, they can help smooth out those post-meal spikes that carry over into the next morning. Here's exactly what we're going to cover in the next hour. I'll walk you through each of the 7 drinks, how to use them safely, important precautions for your age group, what to avoid before bedtime, a practical 7-day testing protocol, and answers to the most common questions I receive from my patients over 60. Let me share a quick story that illustrates why this approach works. I had a patient, Margaret, who was 72 years old. She came to me frustrated because her morning blood sugars were consistently in the 200s, despite taking her medications exactly as prescribed. Margaret had been drinking a large glass of orange juice every evening because she thought it was healthy. She was also going to bed dehydrated most nights. We made 2 simple changes. She replaced that orange juice with unsweetened herbal tea and a measured amount of water. Within 1 week, her morning readings dropped from an average of 205 to 165. After a month of consistency, she was waking up in the 140s most mornings. No medication changes, no dramatic lifestyle overhauls, just smarter drink choices. That's the power of understanding how your body works and making informed decisions. So let's dive into drink number 1. Drink number 1. Water, the foundation of everything. I know what you're thinking. Water? That's not revolutionary. But hear me out, because most people over 60 are doing this completely wrong, and it's sabotaging their blood sugar control every single night. Proper hydration is absolutely crucial for blood sugar management. When you're dehydrated, your kidneys can't efficiently filter excess glucose from your blood. This leads to higher concentrations of sugar in your bloodstream and more dramatic morning spikes. Additionally, dehydration triggers stress responses in your body, releasing hormones that actually raise blood sugar even more. Here's the science behind it. Your kidneys filter about 180 grams of glucose every single day in a healthy person. When you have diabetes, there's even more glucose for your kidneys to handle. If you're dehydrated, this filtration system becomes less efficient, and glucose starts backing up in your bloodstream. But here's the key. It's not about drinking massive amounts of water right before bed and waking up 5 times to use the bathroom. That actually disrupts your sleep and can worsen morning blood sugar readings. The strategy is all about timing and quantity. Here's exactly how to use water strategically for blood sugar control. First, aim for 200 to 300 milliliters of water in the late afternoon, between 4 and 6 p.m. This helps establish good hydration before your evening meal. Second, drink another 150 to 200 milliliters about 1 to 2 hours before bedtime. This ensures you go to sleep well hydrated without causing nighttime bathroom trips. Avoid drinking large amounts of water in the last hour before bed unless you're specifically dealing with very high blood sugar readings and your doctor has advised increased fluid intake. The goal is balance. Enough hydration to support your kidneys and blood sugar control, but not so much that you're disrupting your sleep. Now, there are important precautions for people over 60. If you have kidney disease, heart failure, or take diuretic medications, you need to work with your doctor to determine the right amount of fluid intake. Too much water can be dangerous if your kidneys can't process it effectively. If you have frequent urinary incontinence, you might need to adjust the timing and amount of evening fluids. There's also a condition called hyponatremia, where drinking too much water dilutes your blood sodium levels. This is more common in older adults and can be serious. Signs include nausea, headache, confusion, or muscle cramps. If you experience these symptoms after increasing water intake, contact your healthcare provider immediately. Here's a practical tip for monitoring your hydration. Use the color of your urine as a guide. Pale yellow is ideal. Dark yellow means you need more fluids. Clear or completely colorless might mean you're drinking too much. Keep a measuring cup in your kitchen so you know exactly how much water you're drinking instead of guessing. Let me address a common concern I hear from my patients. Many people over 60 worry that drinking more water will worsen incontinence or bladder problems. While this seems logical, dehydration actually makes bladder issues worse in many cases. When you're dehydrated, your urine becomes more concentrated and acidic, which can irritate the bladder and increase urgency. Proper hydration often improves bladder control over time. Another important point about water quality. If your tap water is heavily chlorinated or has a strong taste, you're less likely to drink enough. Consider a simple water filter, or if that's not possible, add a slice of lemon or cucumber for flavor. Just avoid adding any sweeteners, artificial or natural. For those of you taking medications, timing your water intake around pills can be important. Some medications are absorbed better with plenty of water, while others need to be taken on an empty stomach. Check with your pharmacist about the best timing for your specific medications. One more crucial point about water and blood sugar. If you're experiencing very high blood sugar readings, over 250 milligrams per deciliter, increased water intake becomes even more important. High glucose levels cause increased urination, which leads to dehydration, which makes blood sugar levels rise even higher. It's a dangerous cycle that proper hydration can help break. Here's your action step for water. For the next 7 days, measure and track your water intake. Use a notebook or smartphone app to record when you drink water and how much. Also note your sleep quality and morning blood sugar readings. You might be surprised at the correlation between consistent hydration and more stable glucose levels. Drink number 2, hibiscus tea, the pressure and sugar helper. Hibiscus tea is one of those drinks that's been used traditionally for centuries, but now we have modern research to back up what many cultures have known intuitively. For people over 60 with diabetes, hibiscus tea offers multiple benefits that go beyond just blood sugar control. The primary active compounds in hibiscus are anthocyanins and other polyphenol. These natural chemicals have been shown in multiple studies to help with blood pressure reduction, which is crucial because about 70% of people with diabetes also have high blood pressure. But what's particularly interesting for our discussion is that some studies suggest hibiscus may also help with glucose metabolism. A study published in the Journal of Nutritional Science followed people with type 2 diabetes who drank hibiscus tea twice daily for 4 weeks. The results showed modest but consistent improvements in fasting blood glucose levels and HbA1c readings. While the effects weren't dramatic, they were consistent and statistically significant. Here's how hibiscus tea specifically helps with overnight blood sugar control. First, it provides hydration without any calories or natural sugars that could spike glucose levels. Second, the mild diuretic effect can help your body eliminate excess glucose through urine, but it's much gentler than pharmaceutical diuretics. Third, if you have high blood pressure, better blood pressure control during sleep can reduce stress hormones that elevate morning glucose. The key is using hibiscus tea correctly for your age group. Here's the exact protocol I recommend. Steep 1 teaspoon of dried hibiscus flowers or 1 hibiscus tea bag in 200 milliliters of hot water for 5 to 8 minutes. The longer you steep, the stronger the flavor and the higher the concentration of beneficial compounds. Let it cool to a comfortable drinking temperature. Timing is crucial. I recommend drinking hibiscus tea in the late afternoon, between 4 and 6 p.m. This gives you the blood pressure benefits during the evening hours without the risk of nighttime bathroom trips that could disrupt sleep. If you find that hibiscus tea has a diuretic effect on you specifically, avoid drinking it after 7 p.m. Now let's talk about important precautions. Hibiscus tea can lower blood pressure, which is generally good, but if you're already taking blood pressure medications, the combination might lower your pressure too much. Signs of low blood pressure include dizziness when standing up, fatigue, nausea, or fainting. If you experience any of these symptoms after starting hibiscus tea, stop drinking it and consult your doctor. If you're taking diuretic medications, hibiscus tea might enhance their effects, leading to dehydration or electrolyte imbalances. Monitor your symptoms carefully and discuss this with your pharmacist or doctor before starting. For people with kidney problems, the diuretic effect of hibiscus might not be appropriate. Your kidneys might not be able to handle the additional fluid processing. Always check with your nephrologist before adding hibiscus tea to your routine. There's also a potential interaction with certain diabetes medications. While rare, some people report that hibiscus tea enhances the effects of blood sugar-lowering medications, potentially leading to hypoglycemia. If you're on insulin or sulfonylurea drugs like glyburide or glipizide, monitor your blood sugar more frequently when first trying hibiscus tea. Here's a practical tip to make hibiscus tea more appealing. The flavor can be quite tart on its own. You can add a small piece of fresh ginger while steeping for a warming flavor, or a few dried orange peels for a citrusy note. Avoid adding honey, sugar, or artificial sweeteners, as these defeat the purpose of blood sugar control. Some people prefer to make hibiscus tea in larger batches and drink it cold. This is perfectly fine, but remember that cold drinks might be less satisfying in the evening, especially during cooler months. You can make a large batch in the morning, refrigerate it, and then warm up individual servings as needed. Quality matters with hibiscus tea. Look for organic, dried hibiscus flowers when possible. They should be deep red in color and have a fresh, slightly floral smell. Avoid hibiscus tea blends that contain added sugars, artificial flavors, or other herbs that might interact with your medications. Let me address a common question about hibiscus tea and sleep. Pure hibiscus tea doesn't contain caffeine, so it shouldn't interfere with sleep. However, some commercial blends mix hibiscus with other ingredients that might be stimulating. Always read the ingredient list carefully. For those of you who are new to herbal teas, start with a weaker concentration and see how your body responds. Some people are more sensitive to the active compounds in hibiscus than others. Begin with half a teaspoon of dried flowers or steep for only 3 to 4 minutes initially. Storage is important too. Keep dried hibiscus flowers in an airtight container away from light and moisture. Properly stored, they can maintain their potency for up to 2 years. If the flowers start to fade in color or lose their smell, it's time to replace them. Here's your action step for hibiscus tea. If you decide to try it, start with 3 days of late afternoon hibiscus tea while monitoring your blood pressure and blood sugar readings. Note any changes in how you feel, your sleep quality, and your morning glucose numbers. Pay attention to whether you need to use the bathroom more frequently in the evening. Drink number 3, green tea, the metabolic supporter. Green tea is probably the most researched beverage in the world when it comes to metabolic health, and for good reason. The compounds in green tea, particularly catechins like EGCG, have been shown in numerous studies to support insulin sensitivity and help with glucose control. But for people over 60, timing and preparation are absolutely critical. The science behind green tea and blood sugar is fascinating. Catechins work by enhancing insulin sensitivity at the cellular level, meaning your cells can use glucose more effectively. They also help slow down the digestion and absorption of carbohydrates, which can prevent those sharp post-meal blood sugar spikes that carry over into the morning. A comprehensive analysis of 17 studies involving over 1,100 participants found that regular green tea consumption was associated with lower fasting glucose levels and improved HbA1c readings. The effects were modest but consistent across different populations and study designs. But here's the critical point for evening blood sugar control. Regular green tea contains caffeine, which can interfere with sleep quality. Poor sleep directly impacts blood sugar control through increased cortisol production and reduced insulin sensitivity. So if you want the metabolic benefits of green tea without the sleep disruption, you need to be strategic about when and what type you drink. For evening use, I recommend decaffeinated green tea exclusively. The decaffeination process removes most of the caffeine while preserving the beneficial catechins. You can find quality decaffeinated green tea at most grocery stores or online. Look for brands that use the carbon dioxide decaffeination method rather than chemical solvents. Here's how to prepare and use green tea for overnight blood sugar control. Use 1 tea bag or 1 teaspoon of loose-leaf decaffeinated green tea per cup of water. The water temperature is crucial. Don't use boiling water, as it can destroy the delicate catechins and make the tea bitter. Heat water to about 175 degrees Fahrenheit, or let boiling water cool for about 3 to 4 minutes before pouring over the tea. Steep for 3 to 5 minutes maximum. Longer steeping extracts more tannins, which can cause stomach upset, especially on an empty stomach. This is particularly important for people over 60, as stomach sensitivity often increases with age. Timing recommendations vary based on your dinner schedule. If you eat dinner between 5 and 6 p.m., you can have decaffeinated green tea up until about 8 p.m. If you eat later, adjust accordingly. The goal is to have green tea after your meal to help with glucose absorption, but early enough that any mild stimulating effects don't interfere with sleep. For morning use, regular caffeinated green tea can be beneficial. The combination of caffeine and catechins may provide additional metabolic benefits. Have 1 cup with or shortly after breakfast to help manage post-meal glucose spikes throughout the day. Now let's discuss important precautions. Green tea, even decaffeinated, can interact with certain medications. If you're taking blood-thinning medications like warfarin, green tea can enhance their effects, potentially leading to bleeding problems. The vitamin K content in green tea can also interfere with warfarin's effectiveness. For people with acid reflux or gastritis, green tea might worsen symptoms, especially when consumed on an empty stomach. The tannins in green tea can increase stomach acid production. If you have these conditions, try drinking green tea only with or after meals, and consider diluting it with more water. Iron absorption can be significantly reduced by green tea consumption. If you have iron deficiency anemia or take iron supplements, avoid drinking green tea within 2 hours of eating iron-rich foods or taking iron supplements. Some people over 60 are sensitive to even small amounts of caffeine remaining in decaffeinated green tea. Signs include jitteriness, heart palpitations, or difficulty falling asleep. If you experience these symptoms, discontinue use and consider other options from our list. Green tea can also enhance the effects of blood sugar-lowering medications. While this might sound beneficial, it can lead to hypoglycemia if not monitored carefully. If you're on diabetes medications, check your blood sugar more frequently when first adding green tea to your routine. Here are some practical tips for getting the most benefit from green tea. If you find the taste too bitter or grassy, try mixing decaffeinated green tea with a small amount of decaffeinated white tea or chamomile. This creates a milder flavor while maintaining the beneficial compounds. Quality matters significantly with green tea. Look for organic, loose-leaf varieties when possible. The tea should be green in color, not brown or yellow, which indicates oxidation and loss of beneficial compounds. Store green tea in an airtight container away from light, heat, and moisture. For those of you who prefer convenience, high-quality tea bags are perfectly fine. Look for pyramid-shaped tea bags or those labeled as containing whole leaf tea rather than dust or fannings. Some people ask about green tea extract supplements instead of drinking the tea. While these can be convenient, they're much more concentrated and have a higher risk of side effects, especially liver problems in rare cases. For people over 60, I recommend sticking with brewed tea rather than extracts. Temperature preference is individual, but there's some evidence that warm beverages in the evening can help promote sleep by slightly raising your core body temperature, which then drops as you cool down, signaling your body it's time to sleep. If you're new to green tea, start slowly. Begin with 1 cup every other day for a week, then increase to daily use if you tolerate it well. This gradual approach helps you identify any adverse effects before they become problematic. Here's your action step for green tea. Choose either morning caffeinated green tea or evening decaffeinated green tea based on your goals and caffeine sensitivity. Track your blood sugar readings and sleep quality for 1 week to see how green tea affects your individual response. Drink number 4. Cinnamon tea, the sweet craving crusher. Cinnamon tea deserves special attention for people over 60 with diabetes because it addresses 2 major challenges simultaneously. It can help smooth out post-meal blood sugar spikes, and perhaps equally importantly, it can help reduce evening cravings for sweet foods that sabotage blood sugar control overnight. The active compound in cinnamon responsible for glucose effects is called cinnamaldehyde, along with other compounds like methylhydroxycone polymer. These substances appear to enhance insulin sensitivity and slow gastric emptying, which means food moves more slowly from your stomach to your small intestine, leading to more gradual glucose absorption. Multiple studies have examined cinnamon's effects on blood sugar control. A meta-analysis of 10 randomized controlled trials found that cinnamon consumption was associated with significant reductions in fasting glucose levels, particularly in people with type 2 diabetes. The effects were most pronounced with doses equivalent to about 1 to 3 grams of cinnamon daily. But here's what makes cinnamon tea particularly valuable for evening blood sugar control. The warm, sweet-tasting beverage can help satisfy cravings for dessert or sweet snacks after dinner. Many of my patients over 60 tell me they struggle with wanting something sweet in the evening, and cinnamon tea provides that satisfaction without any actual sugars or calories. However, not all cinnamon is created equal, and this is crucial information for people over 60. There are two main types of cinnamon available commercially. Cassia cinnamon is the most common and least expensive type found in most grocery stores. Ceylon cinnamon, also called true cinnamon, is more expensive but much safer for regular consumption. The difference is a compound called coumarin. Cassia cinnamon contains high levels of coumarin, which can be toxic to the liver in large amounts. Since we're talking about daily consumption for blood sugar management, Ceylon cinnamon is the safer choice for long-term use. Here's how to prepare and use cinnamon tea properly. Take 1 Ceylon cinnamon stick about 3 inches long, and place it in 200 milliliters of hot water. Let it steep for 5 to 10 minutes. The longer you steep, the stronger the flavor and the higher the concentration of active compounds. You can reuse the same cinnamon stick 2 to 3 times before it loses its potency. Alternatively, you can use Ceylon cinnamon powder, but be careful with the amount. Start with just a pinch, about 1/8 of a teaspoon, in hot water. Too much powder can make the tea gritty and unpalatable. Timing is important for maximum benefit. I recommend drinking cinnamon tea about 15 to 30 minutes after your evening meal. This timing allows the active compounds to be present in your system as glucose from your meal enters your bloodstream, potentially reducing the size of post-meal spikes. Now let's discuss critical precautions. If you're taking blood-thinning medications like warfarin or clopidogrel, cinnamon can enhance their effects, potentially leading to bleeding problems. Cinnamon contains natural compounds that have anticoagulant properties. For people with liver disease or those taking medications that can affect liver function, regular cinnamon consumption needs to be discussed with your healthcare provider. Even Ceylon cinnamon contains small amounts of coumarin. Cinnamon can also enhance the effects of diabetes medications. While this might seem beneficial, it can lead to hypoglycemia if not monitored carefully. If you're on insulin or sulfonylurea medications, monitor your blood sugar more closely when first adding cinnamon tea to your routine. Some people experience heartburn or stomach upset from cinnamon, especially on an empty stomach. If you have acid reflux or gastritis, start with very small amounts and always drink cinnamon tea after eating. Here are practical tips for making cinnamon tea more effective and enjoyable. If you find plain cinnamon tea too mild, you can add a small piece of fresh ginger root while steeping. Ginger has its own beneficial effects on digestion and glucose metabolism. Some people like to add a few whole cloves or a small piece of orange peel for additional flavor complexity. These additions don't significantly impact blood sugar but can make the tea more satisfying and dessert-like. For convenience, you can prepare larger batches of cinnamon tea. Make a concentrated version using multiple cinnamon sticks in a larger amount of hot water, then store it in the refrigerator and reheat individual portions as needed. The tea will keep for up to 3 days refrigerated. Quality and sourcing matter with cinnamon. Look for Ceylon cinnamon specifically on the label. It's sometimes labeled as Sri Lankan cinnamon or Mexican cinnamon. The sticks should be tan or light brown in color and have a sweet, mild aroma. Cassia cinnamon sticks are typically darker and have a more intense, almost spicy smell. If you can only find cassia cinnamon, limit your intake to no more than half a teaspoon of powder or 1 small stick per day to avoid excessive coumarin intake. Storage is important for maintaining potency. Keep cinnamon sticks in an airtight container away from light and heat. Properly stored Ceylon cinnamon sticks can maintain their potency for up to 2 years. Let me address a common misconception. Cinnamon tea is not a replacement for diabetes medication, and it won't cure diabetes. The effects on blood sugar are modest and supportive. Think of it as one tool in your overall diabetes management strategy, not a miracle solution. Some people ask about cinnamon supplements versus tea. While supplements are more concentrated, they also carry higher risks of side effects and interactions. For people over 60, The gentle approach of tea is generally safer and still provides meaningful benefits. The psychological benefit of cinnamon tea shouldn't be underestimated. Having a warm, satisfying ritual in the evening can help reduce stress and improve adherence to your overall diabetes management plan. Stress reduction indirectly helps with blood sugar control. Here's your action step for cinnamon tea. If you decide to try it, source Ceylon cinnamon sticks or powder specifically. Start with every other day for 1 week, having cinnamon tea after dinner while monitoring your blood sugar readings and noting any changes in evening sweet cravings. Drink number 5. Diluted apple cider vinegar, the glucose spike smoother. Apple cider vinegar has gained tremendous popularity in recent years for blood sugar management, and there's actually solid science behind its use. However, for people over 60, proper dilution and timing are absolutely critical for both safety and effectiveness. The active component in apple cider vinegar responsible for glucose effects is acetic acid. This acid appears to work through several mechanisms. It slows gastric emptying, meaning food stays in your stomach longer before moving to your intestines, leading to more gradual glucose absorption. It also seems to improve insulin sensitivity at the cellular level and may inhibit certain enzymes involved in carbohydrate digestion. A study published in Diabetes Care found that consuming vinegar before a high-carbohydrate meal improved insulin sensitivity by 19 to 34% in people with insulin resistance or type 2 diabetes. Another study showed that 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar before bedtime reduced morning fasting glucose by an average of 4 to 6%. But here's the crucial point for evening blood sugar control. The timing of apple cider vinegar consumption can make a significant difference in its effectiveness. When taken 10 to 15 minutes before a meal, it can help blunt the post-meal glucose spike that often carries over into morning readings. However, apple cider vinegar is highly acidic, and improper use can cause serious problems, especially for people over 60. The acetic acid can erode tooth enamel, worsen acid reflux, delay gastric emptying too much in people with gastroparesis, and interact with certain medications. Here's the safe and effective way to use apple cider vinegar for blood sugar control. Start with just 1 teaspoon of raw, unfiltered apple cider vinegar in 200 milliliters of water. Never consume apple cider vinegar undiluted or in concentrations stronger than 1 tablespoon per cup of water. Timing is critical. Drink the diluted vinegar 10 to 15 minutes before your evening meal, not after eating or right before bed. This allows the acetic acid to be present in your stomach when food arrives, maximizing its effects on glucose absorption. Always use a straw when drinking diluted apple cider vinegar to minimize contact with your teeth. The acid can soften tooth enamel, making it more susceptible to damage from brushing. Wait at least 30 minutes after drinking apple cider vinegar before brushing your teeth. Now let's discuss critical precautions that are especially important for people over 60. If you have gastroparesis, a condition where food moves slowly through your digestive system, apple cider vinegar can make this worse by further slowing gastric emptying. This can lead to unpredictable blood sugar patterns and increased risk of hypoglycemia. For people with acid reflux, GERD, or stomach ulcers, apple cider vinegar can worsen these conditions significantly. Even when diluted, the acid can irritate already inflamed tissues in your esophagus and stomach. Apple cider vinegar can interact with several medications commonly used by people over 60. It can enhance the effects of insulin and diabetes medications, potentially causing hypoglycemia. It may also interact with diuretics and heart medications by affecting potassium levels. If you're taking medications for osteoporosis, apple cider vinegar might affect how these drugs are absorbed. The acid can also interact with certain antibiotics and reduce their effectiveness. Never combine apple cider vinegar with effervescent tablets or powders that contain sodium bicarbonate. This combination can cause dangerous gas production in your stomach and potentially lead to stomach rupture in extreme cases. Here are practical guidelines for safe use. Start with just half a teaspoon in a full glass of water every other day for 1 week. If you tolerate this well, you can gradually increase to 1 teaspoon daily. Most people don't need more than 1 tablespoon daily, and higher amounts increase the risk of side effects without additional benefits. Quality matters with apple cider vinegar. Look for raw, unfiltered versions that contain the mother, which is a cloudy substance containing beneficial bacteria and enzymes. Popular brands include Bragg's, Spectrum, and Eden Organic. The vinegar should be stored in a cool, dark place and doesn't need refrigeration. It has a very long shelf life, but if it develops an off smell or unusual appearance, replace it. Some people find the taste of diluted apple cider vinegar unpalatable. You can add a small amount of fresh lemon juice or a tiny pinch of Ceylon cinnamon to improve the flavor, but avoid adding any sweeteners as this defeats the purpose of blood sugar control. Temperature can make a difference in palatability. Some people prefer room temperature water, while others find that slightly warm water makes the vinegar taste less harsh. Experiment to find what works for you. Let me address some common mistakes I see with apple cider vinegar use. First, never take it on an empty stomach first thing in the morning. This can cause significant stomach irritation and nausea. Second, don't assume that more is better. Higher concentrations and larger amounts increase risks without proportional benefits. Third, don't rely on apple cider vinegar shots or gummies sold in stores. These products often contain added sugars or are so diluted that they're unlikely to have meaningful effects on blood sugar. Fourth, don't use apple cider vinegar as a replacement for proven diabetes medications. It's a supportive tool, not a primary treatment. Monitor your response carefully. Some people are much more sensitive to the effects of apple cider vinegar than others. Signs that you might be taking too much include persistent stomach upset, increased heartburn, tooth sensitivity, or unexplained drops in blood sugar. If you experience any signs of low blood sugar after using apple cider vinegar, such as shakiness, sweating, confusion, or rapid heartbeat, stop using it immediately and contact your healthcare provider. Here's your action step for apple cider vinegar. If you have no contraindications and want to try it, start with half a teaspoon in a full glass of water every other day, taken 15 minutes before dinner. Monitor your blood sugar readings carefully and note any digestive symptoms or changes in how you feel. Drink number 6. Chamomile tea, the sleep and sugar stabilizer. Chamomile tea represents a different approach to overnight blood sugar control. Instead of directly affecting glucose metabolism, chamomile works by improving sleep quality, and better sleep directly translates to better blood sugar control. For people over 60, this connection between sleep and glucose is absolutely crucial. The science behind sleep and blood sugar is well established. Poor sleep quality increases cortisol production, reduces insulin sensitivity, and disrupts the normal circadian rhythms that help regulate glucose metabolism. Studies show that even one night of poor sleep can increase insulin resistance by 20 to 25%. Chamomile contains several compounds that promote relaxation and sleep, including apigenin, which binds to benzodiazepine receptors in the brain. Unlike pharmaceutical sleep aids, chamomile is gentle and doesn't typically cause morning grogginess or dependency issues. A study published in the Journal of Advanced Nursing found that people who drank chamomile tea for 2 weeks had significantly improved sleep quality compared to those who didn't. Another study showed that chamomile tea consumption was associated with better glucose control in people with type 2 diabetes, likely due to the sleep and stress reduction benefits. But chamomile offers additional benefits beyond sleep improvement. It has mild anti-inflammatory properties, which can be beneficial for people with diabetes, as chronic inflammation contributes to insulin resistance. Some studies suggest that chamomile may also have direct, though modest, effects on glucose metabolism. Here's how to prepare and use chamomile tea for optimal sleep and blood sugar benefits. Use 1 chamomile tea bag or 1 teaspoon of dried chamomile flowers in 200 milliliters of hot water. Steep for 5 to 7 minutes to extract the maximum amount of beneficial compounds. Timing is crucial for chamomile tea. Drink it 30 to 60 minutes before you plan to go to bed. This gives the compounds time to begin working while allowing you to use the bathroom before settling in for the night. Drinking it too close to bedtime might wake you up for bathroom trips, which defeats the purpose. Create a routine around your chamomile tea. Use the same cup every night, dim the lights while you drink it, and avoid screens or stimulating activities. This helps train your brain to associate chamomile tea with sleep preparation, enhancing its effectiveness. Now let's discuss precautions. While chamomile is generally very safe, some people are allergic to plants in the Asteraceae family, which includes ragweed, chrysanthemums, marigolds, and daisies. If you have seasonal allergies to these plants, you might also react to chamomile. Signs of chamomile allergy include skin rash, throat swelling, difficulty breathing, or severe stomach upset. If you experience any of these symptoms, stop using chamomile immediately and seek medical attention. Chamomile can interact with blood-thinning medications like warfarin. The herb contains compounds that may enhance anticoagulant effects, potentially increasing bleeding risk. If you're on blood thinners, consult your doctor before using chamomile tea regularly. For people taking sedative medications or sleep aids, chamomile might enhance their effects, leading to excessive drowsiness. This is particularly important for people over 60, who may be more sensitive to sedating substances. Some people experience mild sedation from chamomile even during daytime hours. If you find yourself feeling unusually drowsy the morning after drinking chamomile tea, try reducing the amount or steeping time. Quality matters significantly with chamomile tea. Look for organic, whole-dried chamomile flowers when possible. They should be light yellow to white in color with a sweet, apple-like fragrance. Avoid chamomile that looks brown or has lost its smell, as this indicates age and reduced potency. Many commercial chamomile tea blends contain added ingredients. Read labels carefully and choose pure chamomile tea for blood sugar management. Some blends include lemon balm or lavender, which can be complementary, but avoid blends with added sugars or artificial flavors. You can enhance chamomile tea's effectiveness with proper environment preparation. Keep your bedroom cool, around 65 to 68 degrees Fahrenheit. Use blackout curtains or an eye mask to block light. Consider using a white noise machine or earplugs if you're sensitive to sounds. Some people find that adding a tiny amount of raw honey to chamomile tea helps them sleep better. While I generally recommend avoiding added sweeteners for blood sugar control, if a small amount of honey helps you establish a consistent bedtime routine, the sleep benefits might outweigh the minimal glucose impact. Storage is important for maintaining chamomile's potency. Keep dried chamomile flowers in an airtight container away from light, heat, and moisture. Properly stored chamomile can maintain its effectiveness for up to 2 years. Let me address a common question about chamomile tea and morning blood sugar readings. Some people worry that any bedtime drink might raise morning glucose levels. Chamomile tea contains virtually no calories or carbohydrates, so it doesn't directly raise blood sugar. In fact, the improved sleep quality often leads to better morning readings. For those of you who are new to herbal teas, chamomile is an excellent starting point. It has a mild, pleasant flavor that most people enjoy, and it's very forgiving if you steep it too long. Unlike some herbs, oversteeping chamomile just makes it stronger, not bitter. If you're currently taking prescription sleep medications and want to try chamomile tea, work with your doctor to potentially reduce your medication gradually rather than stopping abruptly. Never stop prescription medications without medical supervision. Some people ask about chamomile supplements versus tea. While supplements are more concentrated, the ritual of preparing and slowly sipping warm tea is part of the sleep-promoting benefit. The act of slowing down and focusing on the tea helps transition your mind from daytime activities to sleep preparation. Here's your action step for chamomile tea. If you want to try it, start with every other night for 1 week. Prepare your tea 45 minutes before bedtime, create a calm environment while drinking it, and track both your sleep quality and morning blood sugar readings to see the connection. Drink number 7. Kefir or natural yogurt, the probiotic powerhouse. Our final drink option is actually more of a liquid food, unsweetened kefir or natural yogurt. These fermented dairy products offer unique benefits for people over 60 with diabetes through their combination of protein, probiotics, and relatively low carbohydrate content. The science behind fermented dairy and blood sugar control is compelling. The protein in kefir and yogurt helps slow gastric emptying and provides sustained amino acid release throughout the night. This can help prevent those early morning glucose spikes by providing your liver with building blocks for gluconeogenesis, reducing the need to break down muscle protein. The probiotics in fermented dairy products may also play a role in glucose metabolism. Recent research suggests that gut bacteria composition affects insulin sensitivity and glucose tolerance. A study published in Diabetologia found that people who consumed yogurt regularly had a 28% lower risk of developing type 2 diabetes. But here's what makes kefir and yogurt particularly valuable for overnight blood sugar control. The combination of protein and healthy fats provides sustained satiety, which can prevent middle-of-the-night hunger that sometimes drives people to eat inappropriate snacks. The casein protein in dairy is slow digesting, providing a steady release of amino acids for 6 to 8 hours. However, not all kefir and yogurt products are appropriate for diabetes management. Many commercial versions contain added sugars, fruit syrups, or artificial sweeteners that can affect blood sugar or sleep quality. Here's how to choose and use fermented dairy products safely for blood sugar control. Look for plain, unsweetened kefir or Greek yogurt with no added ingredients other than milk and live active cultures. Greek yogurt is particularly good because the straining process removes much of the lactose while concentrating the protein. Check the nutrition label carefully. Choose products with at least 10 grams of protein per serving and less than 10 grams of total carbohydrates. Avoid anything with added sugars, corn syrup, or artificial sweeteners. The serving size is important. For evening consumption, 100 to 150 milliliters of kefir or about half a cup of Greek yogurt is appropriate. This provides sufficient protein benefits without excessive calories or carbohydrates that might affect blood sugar. Timing matters for optimal benefit. Consume your fermented dairy product about 1 to 2 hours before bedtime. This allows time for initial digestion while ensuring the slow-release proteins are available throughout the night. Now let's discuss important precautions. If you're lactose intolerant, kefir might be better tolerated than yogurt because the fermentation process breaks down much of the lactose. However, some people are still sensitive to even small amounts of lactose, which can cause digestive upset that interferes with sleep. For people with kidney disease, the protein content in fermented dairy products needs to be considered as part of your total daily protein intake. Too much protein can put additional strain on compromised kidneys. Always discuss protein intake with your nephrologist if you have kidney problems. Some people over 60 have difficulty digesting dairy products due to reduced stomach acid production. If you experience bloating, gas, or stomach upset after consuming kefir or yogurt, try taking a digestive enzyme supplement or choose lactose-free versions. The carbohydrate content, while relatively low, still needs to be counted as part of your daily carbohydrate intake. The natural milk sugars in kefir and yogurt can affect blood sugar, especially in people who are very sensitive to carbohydrates. Quality and sourcing are crucial with fermented dairy products. Choose organic when possible to avoid hormones and antibiotics that might affect gut bacteria balance. Look for products that specifically list the strains of probiotics they contain, such as Lactobacillus acidophilus or Bifidobacterium lactis. The freshness date is particularly important with fermented products. The probiotic count decreases over time, so choose products with the latest expiration date and consume them well before that date. Some people prefer kefir grains to make their own kefir at home. This can be cost-effective and allows you to control the fermentation time and strength. However, homemade kefir can be unpredictable in terms of carbohydrate and alcohol content, so store-bought versions might be safer for strict blood sugar control. If you find plain kefir or yogurt too tart, you can add a small sprinkle of Ceylon cinnamon powder for flavor without affecting blood sugar. Avoid adding fruit, honey, or any other sweeteners as these can cause nighttime glucose spikes. Let me address some common concerns about consuming dairy products in the evening. Some people worry that dairy will cause congestion or worsen sleep apnea. While this is possible in people with dairy sensitivities, most people tolerate small amounts of fermented dairy well in the evening. Others worry about the calories from evening dairy consumption leading to weight gain. The 80 to 120 calories in a small serving of plain Greek yogurt or kefir is unlikely to cause weight gain if it's replacing evening snacks or helping you sleep better, which supports healthy metabolism. For those concerned about bone health, the calcium in fermented dairy products can be beneficial, especially for people over 60 who are at higher risk for osteoporosis. However, if you're taking calcium supplements, be aware of your total daily calcium intake to avoid exceeding recommended amounts. Storage and handling are important for safety. Keep fermented dairy products refrigerated at all times and consume them within a few days of opening. Don't leave them out at room temperature for more than 2 hours, as this can allow harmful bacteria to grow. Some people ask about plant-based alternatives like coconut yogurt or almond yogurt. While these can be good options for people with dairy allergies, they typically contain less protein and may have added sugars or thickeners that affect their blood sugar impact. If you choose plant-based alternatives, read labels very carefully. The probiotic benefits of fermented dairy are generally well tolerated, but some people experience temporary digestive changes when first introducing probiotics. This might include changes in bowel movements or mild gas. These effects usually resolve within a few days as your gut bacteria adjust. Here's your action step for fermented dairy. If you want to try this approach, start with a small amount, about 75 milliliters of plain kefir or 1/3 cup of plain Greek yogurt, every other evening for 1 week. Monitor your blood sugar response and any digestive effects. How to measure what works without expecting miracles. Now that we've covered all 7 drinks, let's talk about how to realistically assess whether these approaches are helping your blood sugar control. This is crucial because the effects are typically modest and gradual, not dramatic overnight changes. First, let's set realistic expectations. These drinks are supportive tools, not miracle cures. If your morning blood sugar typically runs 180 to 200, don't expect it to drop to 120 within a week. Realistic improvements might be 5 to 15 points reduction over several weeks of consistent use. The key to meaningful assessment is consistent tracking. You'll need a simple diary system to record several variables: which drink you chose, what time you consumed it, what you ate for dinner and when, your bedtime blood sugar reading, your wake-up blood sugar reading, and subjective sleep quality on a scale of 1 to 10. Use a notebook or smartphone app to record this information daily. After 7 days of consistent tracking, look for trends rather than focusing on individual readings. Blood sugar naturally fluctuates based on many factors, so individual high or low readings don't tell the whole story. Here's what constitutes meaningful improvement. A consistent trend toward lower morning readings, even if it's just 5 to 10 milligrams per deciliter on average. Fewer extreme morning spikes over 250 milligrams per deciliter. Better sleep quality scores correlating with better morning readings. Reduced evening cravings for sweet snacks. Pay attention to variability as well as average readings. If your morning blood sugars become more consistent, ranging between 140 to 160 instead of 120 to 220, that's significant improvement even if the average hasn't changed much. Track other factors that might influence your results. Stress levels, illness, medication changes, unusual activities, or dietary changes can all affect blood sugar independently of the drinks you're testing. Note these variables in your tracking log. Change only one variable at a time for accurate assessment. If you start drinking chamomile tea and also begin a new exercise routine, you won't know which intervention is responsible for any improvements you see. Give each drink approach at least one full week before making changes. Some effects, particularly those related to sleep improvement or gut bacteria changes, may take several days to become apparent. Consider using a continuous glucose monitor if your doctor approves and your insurance covers it. These devices can show you detailed patterns in your overnight glucose levels that single point-in-time readings might miss. Remember that success isn't just about lower numbers. Feeling more rested, having more stable energy levels throughout the day, and reduced anxiety about blood sugar management are all valuable outcomes. Don't get discouraged by temporary setbacks. Illness, stress, medication changes, or even changes in weather can temporarily affect your blood sugar control regardless of what drinks you're using. What to avoid in the evening: common traps that sabotage your progress. Understanding what not to drink in the evening is just as important as knowing what to include. Many people unknowingly sabotage their overnight blood sugar control with seemingly innocent beverage choices. First, let's talk about fruit juices, even 100% natural ones. A glass of orange juice contains about 25 to 30 grams of rapidly absorbed carbohydrates with no fiber to slow absorption. When consumed in the evening, this glucose load can cause sustained elevation of blood sugar that persists throughout the night. Even no sugar-added fruit juices are problematic because they still contain concentrated natural fruit sugars. Apple juice, grape juice, and cranberry juice are particular offenders. The fructose in fruit juice can also interfere with sleep quality in some people. Smoothies present a similar problem, even when made with supposedly healthy ingredients. A smoothie containing banana, berries, and yogurt might seem nutritious, but it often delivers 40 to 60 grams of carbohydrates in liquid form, causing rapid glucose absorption and overnight spikes. Sports drinks and energy drinks are obvious problems due to their high sugar content, but they also contain stimulants like caffeine that interfere with sleep quality. Even sugar-free versions often contain artificial sweeteners that may affect gut bacteria and sleep patterns. Flavored plant-based milk alternatives can be sneaky sources of added sugars. Vanilla almond milk, chocolate soy milk, and sweetened coconut milk often contain 10 to 20 grams of added sugars per serving. Always choose unsweetened versions if you need plant-based alternatives. Alcohol deserves special mention because of its complex effects on blood sugar. While small amounts of alcohol can initially lower blood sugar, it often causes rebound hyperglycemia several hours later as your liver processes the alcohol and releases stored glucose. Additionally, alcohol disrupts sleep architecture, leading to poorer rest and worse morning glucose control. Beer is particularly problematic because it contains both alcohol and significant carbohydrates from malted grains. Wine is generally better than beer for blood sugar impact, but the alcohol still affects sleep quality and liver glucose production. Even seemingly healthy drinks can be problematic in the evening. Kombucha, while containing beneficial probiotics, also contains sugars and sometimes alcohol from the fermentation process. If you want to include kombucha in your routine, consume it earlier in the day. Protein shakes might seem like a good evening choice, but many commercial protein powders contain added sugars, artificial sweeteners, or other ingredients that can affect sleep or blood sugar. If you want evening protein, choose whole food sources like plain Greek yogurt or a small amount of nuts. Let's discuss the hidden sugars in common beverages. Coffee creamers, even small amounts, can add up to significant carbohydrate loads. Many people don't realize that flavored coffee creamers contain 5 to 8 grams of sugar per tablespoon, and most people use more than 1 tablespoon. Tea lattes and chai drinks, whether homemade or store-bought, often contain significant amounts of milk sugars and added sweeteners. If you enjoy these flavors, try making them with unsweetened plant milk and spices only. Artificially sweetened beverages deserve special consideration. While they don't directly raise blood sugar, some artificial sweeteners may affect gut bacteria, insulin sensitivity, or sleep quality. Aspartame, sucralose, and acesulfame potassium can trigger sweet cravings in some people, leading to late-night snacking. Diet sodas and sugar-free flavored waters might seem like safe choices, but the artificial ingredients can cause digestive upset in some people, and the bubbles can cause bloating that interferes with comfortable sleep. Even milk, which contains natural milk sugars, needs to be consumed mindfully in the evening. A large glass of milk can contain 15 to 20 grams of lactose, which is essentially sugar, and can cause overnight glucose elevation in sensitive individuals. Here's a practical approach to evening beverage choices. Stop all caloric beverages after 7 p.m. unless they're one of our recommended 7 drinks used in appropriate amounts. Read labels carefully on any packaged beverages, looking for hidden sugars, artificial sweeteners, or stimulants. Create a cutoff time for caffeine consumption. For most people over 60, this should be noon to 2 p.m. at the latest. Remember that chocolate also contains caffeine, so avoid hot chocolate or chocolate-flavored drinks in the evening. Be particularly careful with health drinks marketed to seniors. Many contain added vitamins and minerals but also significant amounts of sugars or artificial ingredients that can affect blood sugar or sleep. If you're used to drinking something sweet in the evening and find it difficult to stop completely, try gradually diluting sweet drinks with water over several weeks, eventually transitioning to one of our recommended options. Safe usage protocols for people over 60. Age-related changes in metabolism, kidney function, and medication sensitivity make it crucial to approach these drink recommendations with appropriate caution and modification. Let me walk you through the specific considerations that apply to people over 60. First, let's discuss medication interactions, which become more complex as we age due to slower metabolism and the likelihood of taking multiple medications. If you're on insulin or sulfonylurea medications like glyburide, glipizide, or glympyride, these drinks' blood sugar lowering effects could potentially cause hypoglycemia when combined with your medications. The signs of hypoglycemia include shakiness, sweating, confusion, rapid heartbeat, dizziness, or feeling very hungry. If you experience any of these symptoms after starting one of these drinks, check your blood sugar immediately. If it's below 70 milligrams per deciliter, treat it with 15 grams of fast-acting carbohydrates like glucose tablets or half a cup of fruit juice. Start with smaller amounts and monitor more frequently when beginning any new drink regimen. Instead of the full recommended amounts, begin with half portions and test your blood sugar 2 hours after consumption and again in the morning for the first week. Kidney function naturally declines with age, and this affects how your body processes fluids and filters waste products. If you have any degree of kidney disease, chronic kidney disease, or reduced kidney function, the increased fluid intake from these drinks needs to be monitored carefully. Signs that you might be consuming too much fluid for your kidney function include swelling in your legs or ankles, shortness of breath, unusual fatigue, or changes in urination patterns. If you experience any of these symptoms, reduce your fluid intake and contact your healthcare provider. For people with heart failure, fluid restrictions are often necessary. Extra fluids can worsen heart failure symptoms by increasing the workload on your heart. If you have heart failure, work with your cardiologist to determine safe fluid amounts before implementing these recommendations. Stomach sensitivity increases with age due to reduced stomach acid production and slower gastric emptying. This makes some of our recommended drinks potentially problematic for certain individuals. Apple cider vinegar and green tea are most likely to cause stomach upset in people over 60. If you have a history of stomach ulcers, gastritis, or take medications like NSAIDs that can irritate the stomach lining, be particularly cautious with acidic drinks like apple cider vinegar or strong teas. Gastroparesis, a condition where food moves slowly through the digestive system, becomes more common with age and is particularly prevalent in people with long-standing diabetes. Apple cider vinegar can worsen gastroparesis by further slowing gastric emptying, leading to unpredictable blood sugar patterns. Medication timing becomes more critical as we age. Some of our recommended drinks can affect medication absorption or effectiveness. Take your medications at least 2 hours apart from consuming green tea or apple cider vinegar to avoid potential interactions. If you take thyroid medications, calcium supplements, or iron supplements, timing becomes even more important. These medications need to be absorbed properly to be effective, and some drinks can interfere with this absorption. Let's discuss the importance of gradual implementation. Your digestive system, sleep patterns, and blood sugar control have likely been stable for months or years. Sudden changes can cause temporary disruptions that might be mistaken for adverse effects. Introduce one drink at a time, starting every other day for 1 week before moving to daily use. This allows your body to adjust gradually and makes it easier to identify any problems. Monitor your blood pressure more closely if you choose hibiscus tea, as it can lower blood pressure significantly in some people. If you experience dizziness, fainting, or feel unusually weak, check your blood pressure and contact your healthcare provider. Dehydration risk increases with age due to reduced thirst sensation and kidney changes. While we're recommending increased fluid intake through these drinks, make sure you're also maintaining adequate plain water intake throughout the day. Sleep medication interactions deserve special attention. If you take prescription sleep aids, muscle relaxants, or anti-anxiety medications, adding chamomile tea or kefir might enhance their sedating effects, potentially causing excessive drowsiness or morning grogginess. Temperature sensitivity can increase with age. Very hot drinks might cause burns in people with reduced sensation, while very cold drinks might cause digestive upset. Aim for comfortably warm temperatures with all hot beverages. Storage and preparation considerations become more important as dexterity or memory might be affected. Pre-measure ingredients when possible, use easy-to-open containers, and consider preparing larger batches of teas that can be reheated as needed. Social and psychological factors matter too. If these drink changes cause anxiety or stress about following complex routines, the stress itself can worsen blood sugar control. Keep the approach simple and adaptable to your lifestyle. Myths and truths clearing up confusion for seniors. There's an enormous amount of misinformation about natural approaches to blood sugar management, and unfortunately, people over 60 are often targeted with exaggerated claims and dangerous advice. Let me address the most common myths and provide you with accurate information. Myth number 1: these drinks will clean the sugar out of your blood completely. This is a dangerous oversimplification. Your body maintains blood sugar through complex interactions between your liver, pancreas, muscles, and kidneys. No drink can clean sugar from your blood like a filter. What these drinks can do is support your body's natural processes for managing glucose more effectively. The truth is that blood sugar management is about supporting and optimizing normal physiological processes, not overriding them. These drinks work by improving insulin sensitivity, slowing glucose absorption, supporting better sleep, and maintaining proper hydration, all factors that help your body manage glucose more effectively. Myth number 2: natural fruit juices are always healthy for diabetics. This is particularly dangerous advice. Even 100% natural fruit juice contains concentrated fruit sugars without the fiber that would slow absorption in whole fruit. A glass of orange juice can contain as much sugar as a can of soda, just in a different form. The truth is that liquid carbohydrates, even from natural sources, are absorbed much more rapidly than solid carbohydrates. This rapid absorption can cause significant blood sugar spikes, especially when consumed in the evening when your metabolism is naturally slower. Myth number 3: if it's natural, it's automatically safe for seniors. This logic ignores the reality that many natural substances can interact with medications, affect kidney or liver function, or cause allergic reactions. Age-related changes in metabolism make some natural substances riskier for seniors than for younger people. The truth is that natural doesn't equal safe or appropriate for everyone. Each person's health status, medication regimen, and underlying conditions must be considered when adding any new substance to their routine, even natural ones. Myth number 4, you need expensive superfoods or exotic ingredients for blood sugar control. Marketing often promotes expensive berries, rare teas, or specialty powders as essential for blood sugar management. This creates unnecessary financial burden and complexity. The truth is that simple, readily available ingredients like water, common herbal teas, and plain fermented dairy products can be very effective for blood sugar support. The key is consistency and proper use, not exotic ingredients. Myth number 5. These drinks work the same for everyone with diabetes. Individual responses to any intervention vary dramatically based on genetics, other health conditions, medications, lifestyle factors, and the specific type and duration of diabetes. The truth is that personalized approaches work better than one-size-fits-all solutions. What works wonderfully for your neighbor might not work for you, and that's completely normal. This is why tracking your individual response is so important. Myth number 6. You can stop your diabetes medications if these natural approaches work well enough. This is extremely dangerous advice that has led to serious health complications and hospitalizations. The truth is that type 2 diabetes is a progressive condition that typically requires ongoing medical management. While lifestyle interventions can sometimes reduce medication needs, any changes to prescription medications must be made under medical supervision with careful monitoring. Myth number 7. Drinking more of these beverages will give you better results. This more is better mentality can lead to side effects, medication interactions, or nutrient imbalances. The truth is that there are optimal amounts for each of these drinks beyond which additional benefits don't occur, but risks do increase. Following recommended serving sizes and frequencies is crucial for both safety and effectiveness. Myth number 8. These approaches work immediately, so you'll see results within days. While some people do notice quick improvements in how they feel, meaningful changes in blood sugar patterns typically take weeks to become apparent. The truth is that sustainable improvements in blood sugar control happen gradually as your body adjusts to new routines. Expect to see trends over weeks rather than dramatic changes over days. Let me address some specific misconceptions I frequently encounter from patients over 60. Many people believe that because they've had diabetes for many years, nothing natural can help anymore. This isn't true. Your body retains the ability to respond to supportive interventions regardless of how long you've had diabetes. Another common belief is that these natural approaches are only for people with mild diabetes. In reality, people with more advanced diabetes can often benefit significantly from these supportive approaches, though they need closer medical monitoring. Some people worry that their doctor will disapprove of natural approaches. Most healthcare providers appreciate patients who take active roles in their health management, especially when they approach it safely and maintain open communication about what they're trying. There's also confusion about timing and meal relationships. Some people think these drinks should be consumed instead of meals or as meal replacements. These beverages are supplements to, not replacements for, appropriate meal planning and medication management. I often hear concerns that these approaches are too simple to be effective. The marketing of complex diabetes solutions has created the impression that effective interventions must be complicated or expensive. Sometimes the most effective approaches are indeed simple ones that support normal physiology. Finally, let me address the fear that trying natural approaches somehow indicates giving up on medical treatment. Using evidence-based natural approaches alongside proper medical care represents comprehensive diabetes management, not abandonment of medical treatment. The key to separating myths from truth is asking the right questions. Is this claim based on scientific evidence? Does this approach make physiological sense? Is it safe for my specific health situation? Does it complement rather than replace my medical treatment? Can I afford this approach long-term? Does the provider have appropriate credentials and experience? Your 7-day test protocol. Now let's put all this information into a practical, week-long testing protocol that will help you determine which of these approaches works best for your individual situation. This systematic approach will give you reliable data to make informed decisions about your long-term diabetes management strategy. Before starting, gather your supplies. You'll need a blood glucose meter with plenty of test strips, a notebook or smartphone app for tracking, a measuring cup for accurate beverage portions, and access to the ingredients for whichever drinks you choose to test. Set realistic expectations for this week. You're not trying to achieve perfect blood sugar control, but rather to gather information about how your body responds to different approaches. Some days will be better than others regardless of what you drink, and that's completely normal. Day 1 and Day 2, water and chamomile tea combination. Start with the foundation, proper hydration and sleep support. Drink 200 to 250 milliliters of water between 4 and 6 p.m., then have chamomile tea 45 minutes before bedtime. Record your blood sugar before bed and upon waking, plus rate your sleep quality from 1 to 10. Day 3 and Day 4, water and cinnamon tea combination. Continue the same water schedule but replace chamomile with cinnamon tea consumed 30 minutes after dinner. Use Ceylon cinnamon and steep for 8 to 10 minutes for maximum benefit. Track the same variables plus note any changes in evening sweet cravings. Day 5, add apple cider vinegar before dinner. Maintain your water schedule, have 1 teaspoon of apple cider vinegar in 200 milliliters of water 15 minutes before dinner, then chamomile tea before bed. Monitor carefully for any digestive upset or unusual blood sugar patterns. Day 6, try fermented dairy option. Keep the water schedule, have 100 milliliters of plain kefir or half a cup of plain Greek yogurt 90 minutes before bedtime. Skip other evening drinks this day to isolate the effects of the fermented dairy. Day 7, choose your best option. Based on the previous 6 days, select whichever combination made you feel best and gave you the most stable blood sugar readings. Repeat this combination to confirm your results. Throughout all 7 days, maintain consistency in other factors as much as possible. Eat dinner at approximately the same time each day, go to bed at the same time, and avoid alcohol or unusual foods that might confound your results. Record detailed information each day, the specific drink consumed and timing, your dinner contents and timing, bedtime blood sugar reading, wake-up blood sugar reading, sleep quality rating, number of times you woke up during the night, energy level upon waking rated 1 to 10, and any unusual symptoms or feelings. Pay attention to patterns rather than individual readings. Look for trends in your morning blood sugar levels, improvements in sleep quality scores, correlation between better sleep and better morning glucose readings, reduced variability in readings even if averages don't change dramatically, and improved energy levels or mood. Calculate simple averages for comparison. Add up your morning blood sugar readings for days 1 to 2, days 3 to 4, day 5, day 6, and day 7 separately. This will help you see which approaches produce the most stable results for your body. Don't ignore subjective improvements. Better sleep, reduced evening cravings, improved morning energy, or feeling more in control of your diabetes management are all valuable outcomes even if blood sugar numbers don't change dramatically. Consider external factors that might influence your results. Note any unusual stress, illness symptoms, medication changes, weather changes, or disruptions to your normal routine. These factors can affect blood sugar independently of the drinks you're testing. After completing the 7-day protocol, take a day to review your data before making any long-term decisions. Look for clear patterns and avoid making decisions based on single good or bad days. If you found a combination that worked well, continue it for another week to confirm the results. Sometimes initial improvements are temporary as your body adjusts to changes. If none of the options seem to help, consider whether external factors might have interfered with your testing week. You might want to repeat the protocol under different circumstances or focus on optimizing basic factors like consistent meal timing and stress management. Remember that finding the right approach might take several attempts. Don't get discouraged if your first week doesn't yield clear results. Your body's response patterns may become more apparent with longer observation periods. Frequently asked questions from my patients over 60. Over the years, I've received thousands of questions about natural approaches to blood sugar management from patients over 60. Let me address the most common concerns and questions that apply specifically to this age group. Can I add sweeteners to these drinks if I really can't tolerate them plain? This is probably the most frequent question I receive. The goal of these drinks is to avoid adding any substances that might spike blood sugar or interfere with sleep. However, if the choice is between having a small amount of stevia-sweetened tea versus not drinking anything beneficial at all, the stevia option is better. Start with the smallest amount possible, just a tiny pinch, and see if you can gradually reduce it over time as your taste buds adjust. Avoid artificial sweeteners like aspartame or sucralose, especially in the evening, as they may affect sleep quality in some people. What if I wake up several times during the night to urinate? Should I still drink these evening beverages? This is a legitimate concern that affects many people over 60. The key is adjusting timing rather than avoiding beneficial drinks entirely. Try consuming your evening beverages earlier, 2 to 3 hours before bedtime instead of 1 hour before. Also, ensure you're not overhydrating. If you're drinking the recommended amounts and still having problems, try reducing portions by half. Sometimes even small amounts of beneficial compounds can be effective. Also, consider that dehydration can actually worsen bladder irritation in some people, so finding the right balance is important. I take multiple medications. How do I know if these drinks are safe with all of them? This is an excellent question that demonstrates good health awareness. The safest approach is to start with water and chamomile tea, which have the fewest potential interactions. Make a list of all your medications and discuss it with your pharmacist, who is often more knowledgeable about drug-herb interactions than general physicians. Pay particular attention to blood thinners, diabetes medications, blood pressure medications, and anything that affects sleep or sedation. Start with very small amounts and monitor for any unusual symptoms. If you experience dizziness, nausea, unusual fatigue, or changes in how your medications usually make you feel, stop the new drink and consult your healthcare provider. My blood sugar is often low in the morning instead of high. Would these drinks make it even lower? This is an important distinction. If you frequently wake up with blood sugar below 100 milligrams per deciliter, your overnight glucose management is actually quite good, and you might not need these interventions. However, if you're experiencing hypoglycemia, blood sugar below 70, this needs medical evaluation regardless of what you drink. Some people have dawn phenomenon in reverse, where their blood sugar drops overnight. In this case, a small serving of plain Greek yogurt or kefir before bed might be more appropriate than the other options, as the protein can provide sustained glucose release. Always discuss unusual blood sugar patterns with your endocrinologist. I have trouble remembering to drink these at the right times. Any suggestions? Memory concerns are common and valid. Set phone alarms for beverage times. Keep your evening tea supplies next to your dinner plates as a visual reminder. Use a pill organizer system but for tea bags instead of pills. Put tomorrow's tea bag in a small container on your kitchen counter each morning. Link the new habit to an existing routine, like always having your evening drink right after you finish dinner cleanup. Ask family members to gently remind you until the habit becomes automatic. Consider preparing larger batches of tea that can be reheated as needed throughout the week. Can I drink more than one of these beverages in the same evening? It's generally better to focus on one approach at a time, especially when you're first testing what works for your body. Combining multiple drinks can make it difficult to determine which one is providing benefits and increases the risk of interactions or side effects. Once you've identified which single approach works best for you, you might cautiously try combining compatible options. For example, water plus chamomile tea is a safe combination. However, avoid combining apple cider vinegar with multiple other drinks, as the acidity might cause stomach upset. My doctor says my diabetes is well controlled, so do I still need to worry about these things? Well-controlled diabetes is excellent, and you should be proud of that achievement. However, maintaining good control often becomes more challenging as we age due to natural changes in metabolism, potential medication effectiveness changes, and other health factors. These drink strategies can help you maintain your good control and potentially provide some buffer against future challenges. Think of them as insurance for continued good health rather than emergency interventions. Plus, many of these drinks offer benefits beyond blood sugar control, such as better sleep and hydration. I live alone and sometimes forget to eat regular meals. Will these drinks help or hurt if my eating schedule is irregular? Irregular eating patterns can make blood sugar management much more challenging. These drinks can provide some stability, but they're not substitutes for regular meal timing. If you frequently skip meals, the protein-containing options like kefir or Greek yogurt might be particularly beneficial as they provide some nutritional support. However, work on establishing more regular eating patterns as a priority. Consider meal delivery services, batch cooking on good days, or asking family or friends to check in about your eating routine. I'm on a fixed income. Are there budget-friendly ways to do this? Absolutely. Water is free from your tap, and adding a basic water filter can improve taste inexpensively. Generic tea bags are often just as effective as expensive brands. Look for simple chamomile, green tea, or hibiscus without fancy packaging. Buy spices like cinnamon in bulk rather than specialty tea blends. Plain Greek yogurt or kefir is often less expensive than flavored varieties and more beneficial for blood sugar control. Many of these approaches will actually save you money by reducing impulses to buy expensive diabetes products or evening snacks. What if I travel frequently or have an irregular schedule? Consistency is ideal, but perfect consistency isn't required for benefits. Pack tea bags in small containers for travel. They don't take up much space and don't require refrigeration. Focus on the water intake recommendations, which you can maintain anywhere. When you can't follow your exact routine, do what you can rather than giving up entirely. Many hotels have hot water available for tea, and most airports and restaurants can provide plain water. The key is returning to your routine as soon as possible rather than waiting for perfect circumstances. My spouse thinks this is all nonsense. How do I handle family skepticism? Family support is important for long-term success, but you don't need permission to make safe, healthy choices. Share some of the scientific information I've mentioned, but don't feel obligated to convince anyone. Focus on how these changes make you feel rather than trying to prove theoretical benefits. Sometimes skeptical family members become believers when they see practical improvements in your energy, sleep, or overall well-being. Consider inviting them to try some of these approaches with you. Many people find chamomile tea or proper hydration beneficial regardless of diabetes status. Can I continue these approaches indefinitely, or are they just temporary interventions? Most of these approaches are safe for long-term use when used appropriately. Think of them as permanent lifestyle adjustments rather than temporary fixes. However, your needs might change over time due to medication adjustments, other health changes, or simply finding that different approaches work better for you. Plan to reassess every few months and adjust as needed. The key is maintaining the underlying principles: proper hydration, sleep support, and avoiding evening blood sugar spikes, even if the specific methods evolve. I have good days and bad days with my blood sugar. Will these approaches help with the variability? Reducing blood sugar variability is often more important than achieving perfect average numbers. High variability can cause symptoms and complications even when average readings look good. These approaches, particularly proper hydration and sleep support, can help smooth out some of the daily variations. However, if you're experiencing dramatic swings in blood sugar, this needs medical evaluation to rule out underlying causes like infections, medication absorption problems, or other health issues. What if I don't see any improvement after trying these for several weeks? First, define what improvement means to you. Sometimes benefits are subtle: better sleep, more stable energy, reduced cravings, and might not show up dramatically in blood sugar numbers. If you truly see no benefits after consistent use for 4 to 6 weeks, it's reasonable to focus your energy on other aspects of diabetes management. Not every intervention works for every person, and that's perfectly normal. The time you spent tracking and experimenting wasn't wasted. You learned valuable information about your body's responses. Are there any warning signs that I should stop using these drinks immediately? Yes, several warning signs require immediate discontinuation and medical consultation. Recurrent hypoglycemia, especially if it's unusual for you. Persistent digestive upset, nausea or stomach pain. Unusual changes in urination patterns, such as producing much more or much less urine than normal. Signs of dehydration despite increased fluid intake, such as dizziness, dry mouth or fatigue. Any allergic reactions like skin rash, throat tightness or breathing difficulties. Significant changes in blood pressure, especially if you become dizzy or lightheaded. Sleep disturbances that worsen rather than improve. Any symptom that feels unusual for your body, even if it seems minor. Your complete summary and action plan. We've covered an enormous amount of information in this hour together, so let me provide you with a clear, practical summary that you can refer to as you implement these strategies for better overnight blood sugar control. The 7 drinks we've discussed each work through different mechanisms to support stable blood sugar overnight. Water provides the foundation through proper hydration, supporting kidney function and glucose filtration. Hibiscus tea offers gentle blood pressure support and mild diuretic effects that can help with glucose elimination. Green tea, when used appropriately with timing considerations, provides catechins that support insulin sensitivity. Cinnamon tea can help smooth post-meal glucose spikes while reducing evening sweet cravings. Diluted apple cider vinegar works to slow gastric emptying and may improve insulin sensitivity when used safely. Chamomile tea supports better sleep quality, which directly impacts blood sugar control. And fermented dairy products like kefir or plain Greek yogurt provide sustained protein release and beneficial probiotics. The key safety principle for people over 60 is to start slowly, monitor carefully, and adjust based on your individual response. Begin with smaller portions than recommended and gradually increase as tolerated. Change only one variable at a time so you can accurately assess what's helping or causing problems. Pay attention to medication interactions, especially with blood thinners, diabetes medications, and blood pressure medications. Monitor for signs of excessive fluid retention if you have heart or kidney problems. Be aware that natural doesn't automatically mean safe. These are bioactive substances that deserve the same respect you'd give to medications. Your implementation strategy should be systematic rather than overwhelming. Week 1, focus on proper hydration with plain water and establish consistent timing around your evening meal. Week 2, add one evening beverage choice based on your individual health considerations and preferences. Week 3, fine-tune the timing and amount based on your sleep quality and morning blood sugar readings. Week 4, establish this as a consistent routine while continuing to monitor for any changes in how you feel or your glucose patterns. The realistic expectations you should have include modest improvements rather than dramatic changes, with typical benefits being 5 to 15 milligrams per deciliter reduction in morning blood sugar readings over several weeks. Better sleep quality that correlates with more stable glucose readings. Reduced evening cravings for inappropriate snacks or beverages. More consistent blood sugar readings even if averages don't change dramatically. Improved sense of control over your diabetes management. These changes typically become apparent over weeks rather than days, so patience and consistency are crucial. Warning signs that require stopping and seeking medical advice include any symptoms of hypoglycemia, especially if unusual for you. Persistent digestive problems, changes in medication effectiveness, unusual changes in blood pressure, allergic reactions of any kind, or significant sleep disruption rather than improvement. Remember that these approaches complement, never replace, proper medical management of diabetes. Continue taking prescribed medications exactly as directed, maintain regular medical monitoring, and communicate with your healthcare providers about what you're trying and how you're responding. The biggest mistake people make is expecting immediate dramatic results or trying to change everything at once. Success comes from small, consistent changes that your body can adapt to gradually. Your diabetes didn't develop overnight, and sustainable improvements in management happen over time with consistent effort. Your individual factors matter enormously in determining which approaches will work best for you. Your current medications, other health conditions, sleep patterns, meal timing, stress levels, and even taste preferences all influence which of these 7 drinks will be most beneficial and sustainable for your lifestyle. The scientific evidence supporting these approaches continues to grow, but remember that you are conducting your own personal experiment with a sample size of 1 yourself. Pay attention to your body's responses and trust your observations while maintaining appropriate medical oversight. Long-term success requires thinking of these as permanent lifestyle adjustments rather than temporary fixes. Choose approaches that you can realistically maintain for months and years, not just weeks. This might mean starting with simpler options like improved hydration and gradually adding more complex interventions as they become habitual. Your support system matters. Whether it's family members, friends, your healthcare providers, or online communities, having people who understand and support your efforts makes a significant difference in long-term success. Next steps and continued learning. As we conclude this comprehensive guide, I want to emphasize that your journey toward better blood sugar control is ongoing. The information I've shared today provides you with evidence-based tools, but your individual application of these tools will be unique to your circumstances. Consider keeping a simple daily log for the next month, noting which drinks you try, your sleep quality, morning blood sugar readings, and how you feel overall. This log will become valuable data for discussions with your healthcare providers and for your own understanding of what works best for your body. Schedule a follow-up appointment with your doctor or diabetes educator to discuss what you've learned about your body's responses. Bring your tracking log and any questions that arose during your experimentation period. This information can be valuable for adjusting your overall diabetes management plan. Stay informed about new research and natural approaches to diabetes management, but be cautious about dramatic claims or expensive products that promise miraculous results. The approaches we've discussed today are effective because they support your body's natural processes, not because they override them. Remember that aging with diabetes is a dynamic process. What works well for you now might need adjustment in 6 months or a year as your health status, medications, or circumstances change. Flexibility and willingness to adapt are important qualities for long-term success. Consider connecting with other people over 60 who are managing diabetes successfully. Peer support and shared experiences can provide motivation and practical tips that complement the medical and scientific information you receive from healthcare providers. Most importantly, celebrate small victories and progress rather than focusing on perfection. Every positive choice you make, every stable blood sugar reading, every good night's sleep supported by better evening habits contributes to your overall health and quality of life. Your commitment to learning about and implementing these natural approaches demonstrates that you're taking an active role in your health management. This attitude and engagement are perhaps the most powerful tools you have for successfully aging with diabetes. The road ahead may have challenges, but you now have additional tools and knowledge to meet those challenges with confidence. Your health is worth the effort, and small, consistent changes can make a meaningful difference in how you feel and function every single day. Thank you for spending this time learning about natural approaches to better blood sugar control. I hope this information serves you well in your ongoing journey toward optimal health and wellness. Remember, you have more control over your health outcomes than you might think, and every positive step you take matters. Here's to your health, your success, and many mornings of waking up with stable, well-controlled blood sugar readings. The power to improve your health is quite literally in your hands, one drink choice at a time.